All right, all praise, glory, and honor is most certainly due to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I want to say peace to you in the name of His Son. I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to preach and bring a message from the Word. Never do I count it as a light thing to do so. All right, today's message is entitled "Give Not Thy Strength to Women Unto Women." This is an allusion to what is written in Proverbs, the 31st chapter, and I'm just going to read it. In verse 1, it says, the words of King Lemuel. Now, who was King Lemuel? There was no king in Israel named Lemuel directly. Some say that's referring to Solomon. Okay. Nevertheless, it says the prophecy that his mother taught him. And if it was referring to Solomon, it makes a lot of sense. It said, what my son and what the son of my womb and what the son of my vows. It says, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. And one thing you can see, it's right in history. And even if you think back to prominent men or men of renown, even in America today, one thing you find is that so many of them are being ruined because they made the wrong choice in a woman. Okay. Even mankind, the first lesson, and you want to talk about lessons in manhood, the first lesson in manhood is give not thy strength unto women. And when you do, it brings about devastation and chaos. That's what's happened in the West wholesale. Men have relinquished as a whole, not even men of renown, just men in general. They have relinquished their position of head. And they giving that over to women, and you see the chaos that you see in the Western world. But so now I want to read a little bit further in Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs. Let's see. This is Proverbs. Actually, let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Genesis, the 3rd chapter, because I might as well read this because I alluded to this as well. Genesis, the 3rd chapter. And this, in here we have Genesis 3, where you have obviously Adam and Eve, they commune with Satan. It says in Genesis 3:6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was pleasant to the eyes and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. What she ate was the fruit of lies, as Hosea says. She ate, it was food for thoughts. They commune with Satan as one should commune with the Lord. Okay? They commune with this cherub angel. And it says, and the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. All right. Then it says, and they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden, as if you can hide from him. And it says, and unto the Lord God, and the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, who told thee that thou wast naked? He asked the question, hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? Now, right here, he could have acknowledged his sin. He could have acknowledged it, kind of like David did in when you read the 51st division of Psalms after he committed adultery. But it says, and the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I did eat. So he tried to put it on her, but he had given his position over as spiritual head. He didn't, it's not as if he was operating in the proper way as the spiritual head, because the directive was given initially to him. She is just a help me. He went along with her. Let's go to 1 Timothy to show you that. So he gave, in a sense, he gave his strength over. This is 1 Timothy chapter 2. And let's pick it up at verse 12. So it says here, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. Okay, so now, like I said, in general, you're seeing men giving their strength over to women. You see that wholesale, even in these churches where you see women teaching. That is not a position of a woman. That is a position for a man to uphold. I don't care what the circumstances are. But then it says, then it goes on, because he's going to show you the order of things. He said, for Adam was first formed, then Eve, right? Even the fact that he named her showed who was in charge. She didn't name him, okay? And people act as if, well, women are bringing forth life. God is a woman. They say all these things, but the life is in a man. She incubates the life. It's just that simple. And it said, and Adam, notice what it says here in verse 13, for Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived. But the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So wait a minute. He went along with her, even though he knew better. So why, you have to ask yourself, it begs the question, why would he do that? You were trying to please this woman instead of trying to please the Most High. You gave up your position and authority to this woman, and you saw what it brought. That's the first lesson in the Bible for man to take hold of too. So it said again, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Again, don't give up your strength. Let's see one of the most evident lessons concerning giving up your strength. This is Samson. This is in the book of Judges, chapter 14. Judges chapter 14, and I'll pick it up at verse 5. And I just want to read some examples of this man's strength and how he was brought down by a woman. This is Judge, and he gave that over. Judges, the 14th chapter. See, even right now, you got a lot of men complaining about the position that women hold in society and what's happening, and men don't have rights in the society that they built. You look at, I call it kidnapping, what's going on in the family courts. I call it robbery, what's going on in the family courts when you look at alimony and child support. I call it the destruction of the family, what's been allowed to take place when the government is basically the arbiter and the head of the household, and they have put the woman in a position that she's not supposed to be in. But men gave that up. Men gave up their rightful, powerful position to women, and so now it's being it's that power's taken, and it's like if you give authority or just leeway to a child, what do you think gonna happen in the house? Well, sometimes you calling a woman a child. I'm not calling a woman a child, but she's not the head of a house. This is Judges 14 and verse 5. It said, then went Samson down and his father and his mother to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath, and behold, a young lion roared against him. So I'm reading this to show you just how powerful this man was. It said, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid. And he had nothing in his hand, but he told not his father or his mother what he had done. So this man ripped apart a lion, okay, to kill the lion. This is not that we're writing, going to the next chapter, Judges 15, and we'll pick it up at verse 16. Again, I'm just giving you examples of just how powerful he was. Judges 15 and 16 says, and Samson said with the jawbone, I'm going to pick it up at verse 15. Verse 14. And when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shot against him. These are the enemies of Israel, right? That's why the judges will rise up and they will go against these enemies. It says, and when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. And the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire. And his bands loosed from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. And Samson said, with the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps. With the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men. So he killed all these men with a jawbone of an ass. So we just saw he killed a lion, he killed 1,000 men, And notice the Spirit of the Lord would come upon him at this time, but he had a problem. He had a problem with women, and that was shown. This is like kind of foreshadowed with another woman when he wanted the Philistine women. Okay, which he shouldn't have had. But now he shouldn't have desired. But nevertheless, it led to this contest with the Philistines. Now we're right in Judges, the 16th chapter. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 4. It's verse 1. It says, then when Samson to Gaza and saw that, hold on one second. First of all, he lay with a harlot. That's another thing. Then when Samson to Gaza and saw there an harlot and went in unto her, and it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson has come hither. And they compassed him and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, in the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. So that's another thing. You land with harlots, right? But you putting yourself in a dangerous situation dealing with this harlot. Now let's pick it up at verse 4, because he escaped that. But now it says, and it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. Okay, so now the infamous Delilah, she's kind of like, not on par quite with Ahab's wife Jezebel, but she's a woman of ill repute. It says in verse 5, and the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and said unto her, entice him, that's Samson, and see wherein his great strength lieth. See, again, so now give not your strength unto women. Now they want to know where his strength is coming from. In other words, what could they do to neutralize his strength? Because he just killed 1,000 Philistines. They can't do anything with Samson. But it said, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. So now you think about all these men. Men are not walking around like Samson, able to kill 1,000 men, from the power of the Spirit of the Lord. But what they do have, you have a lot of men that have great power, that have power through their business prowess, through their ability, through their skill that was acquired. Sometimes just it's a gift that they've given, or their extreme intelligence. Think about take a while to think about the men that have been brought down by a woman, and oftentimes by whores. Okay, now that's harsh, but take a moment to think about it. Okay, even if you think about the former president right now, these things that have come out, true or not, they're taking it seems you in the vicinity of a woman that is of ill repute. And then they're taking her word. She's trying to bring you down. You can go on and on and on. Bill Cosby. You can go on and on and on with this. Presidents of the past. Powerful men brought down by women. They put themselves in a position for the woman to take it from them. A woman that they shouldn't have, quite frankly, even been in the same room with alone, same vicinity. How you get that close? You shouldn't even be that close. But now this woman, notice it says, and they'll give you, and they'll do it for money. It said 1,100 pieces of silver. So she was right on her job. And sometimes, you're a man, you thinking some woman loves you, you better take heed. Listen to the lessons that the Bible is telling you. It said, Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. That's none of your business. That is none of your business. What is that telling you? What do we know happened here? You gave your strength over to this woman. You gave her this information that led to your downfall. Hey, Shaq was getting a lot of flack for what he said. He said you can't tell a woman everything. Some things you got to keep to yourself, otherwise it'll be used against you. They were like, oh, how could you say that? Oh, how could you say that? Didn't you hear his former wife say she never loved him? People act like that didn't happen. She said that and it was like no big deal. It says, now Samson said, so now you see Samson, if this woman is saying this and then she does it and then these Philistines come upon you, you playing yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself. It said, and Samson said unto her, if they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak and be as another man. Okay, so now you want to test this woman, but then when she does it and the Philistines show up, why keep playing? Because that's what Samson did, right? She tied him up, right? And then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7. So they gave her the means. See, sometimes, a lot of times, man, some of these men, you really think you get to a powerful position. You know, I'm not talking about Samson. I'm just talking about in general. You think you in a powerful position, and all of a sudden, they all up on you. You think they really love you for you? Why you think that? You know, just a side note, one of the things that are going on right now is very common in politics on a global scale. The honey trap. You in some bar, you a senator, you throwing a few back. Next thing you know, this what you deem to be attractive Asian woman is talking to you. Next thing you know, you in an affair with a spy. That happened to a was it a senator or congressman recently? A couple years ago, he got honey trapped. He got duped by a spy, a Chinese spy. Now this is so now she's the people behind the scenes. So now they give her the things that she needs, and then it says, now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber, and she said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee. So now she's screaming, oh no, Samson, no, and she set him up. It's cats in the hood, it's cats in the street get set up like that. Can't nobody touch him. I'm talking, they engaged in criminal activity. What the enemy do can't get to him. He got too much money. He too intelligent. What they do, man, send Keish over there. Caught him slipping. Set him up. It says, and Delilah said unto him, behold, thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Now she running a guilt trip on him after you set him up. So notice what this woman is doing. She is not she's not saying, I'm going to go get a sword and I'm going to try to fight him. No, a woman don't come at you like that. Because that's a losing battle. I just saw a video, and this is crazy. I saw a man fighting 2 women at the same time. And they looked like they were skilled fighters. He looked like just a big guy, and it was a man. And he was molly-whopping them. That is not the fight you want. That's not how women get men's strength. They're not gonna out bench press you. No, they have a different method. It's manipulation. And so now they went through another act. He told her an untruth. And then the same thing happened. Why are you playing with this woman? You talk about red flags. Look at the signs. That's what women do. You know what? It will manifest itself. Sometimes you could test the woman. I can understand trying to see where a woman is at, but you should do a woman. If you're gonna actually be dealing with a woman, that's gonna be your issue. You already have vetted her before you even really know her. That's information you could find out, because everybody has a reputation. It's a piece of people who could speak on her behalf or what kind of quality she has or lacks. But this right here, you should pay attention when there are certain signs, because there are certain signs, certain things that be said over a course of time. Be like, wait a minute, stop the press. This woman she doing the things that you tell her that would take your strength away. You playing games, but Samson was continually playing games. You can't be out here playing games, especially today. You got anything, This is not the time to be playing. This is not the time to be playing. You could lose it all. You could lose it all on a lie. You've seen that in court cases. Like what did Johnny Depp's wife tell him? He said, "Hey man, you've been quite abusive." She almost severed his finger, throwing a glass bottle at him. You know, she said on record, and I heard this. She said, "Nobody's gonna believe you. Nobody's gonna believe that I did these things to you." Then she defecated in his bed. All the things, but she got on that stand and started crying, right? Got on that stand and started crying. All the while he losing all kind of Pirate of the Caribbean money, right? He the scum of the earth. Oh, what was the other guy? He was supposed to be the big thing in Marvel movies. Jonathan Majors. I saw the video. He running full speed. Look like he training for Creed 4. He running full speed down the street from a woman. She go a party. Next thing you know, I've been hurt. This happened to me. That happened to me. Listen, you have to make sure that your selection of mate is A1, because you could lose it all. You can lose it all. So now, finally, I want us to pay attention here to what it says. You can read much of this on your own. I would encourage all men to read this. But it says, notice what it says in verse 15. After she tried to set him up another time, she said, and she said unto him, "How canst thou say, I love thee, when thine heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth." So he said, "You done mocked me 3 times. And she said, "How you say you love me?" Again, running a guilt trip. She don't love you. That's another thing. You think of somebody with you that they love you. That's not necessarily the case. Well, wait a minute. She married me and had my children. That don't mean she love you. That could mean you the best situation that she could have at that moment, and she's waiting to eat a monkey branch from that situation. And what set you up? I've seen too much. I've just seen too much. And here she's running this guilt trip, you know. But notice what it says here in verse 16, because he didn't, the 1,000 men, that's nothing. He took a job on of an ass, killed 1,000 men. A lion run against him. Come here. Rent this lion. But this woman, it says, and it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death. That's how she got him. And that's how women operate. It don't happen overnight. Like I said, a woman will change a man, good or bad sometimes. But you know, she want to do something or break you down. It don't happen overnight. You look at a man, you like, man, what happened to Leroy? You know, like, man, what happened to him? He a shell of himself. That woman he would. And I always liken it to how somebody take a skull, you know, they take a piece of stone and they take a hammer and chisel, and this the work they're gonna do on day 1. Tink, that's it. By day 2000, you done shaped him into broke him down and did whatever you wanted to do, and he allowed it. He allowed it. And so now this woman kept pressing him. And then he told her all his heart, right? But she didn't love you. If a woman, first of all, a woman love you, she not gonna obviously set you up to be killed. But love from a woman is respect. But nevertheless, it's a submission. It said it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart and said unto her, there has not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. He had no business telling her that. You got something between you and the Lord that ain't necessarily for her to know, especially this kind of woman. Okay, because she don't have a relationship with the Lord. You know, and so how could you not? And you know, they want to know all these things, but is that something you want to know because you want to help me accomplish my mission in life, or is it something you want to know so you could destroy me with it and bring it up? Or are you going? You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, it ain't. You know, it's very few women that will ride with you like that. So, because most women shouldn't even be in your space. So it said when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she went and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, "Come up this once, for he has showed me all his heart." Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and brought money in their hand. They brought the money. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man. She got a lot of men around her, but nevertheless, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head, and she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. Right? And she said, "The Philistines be upon thee, Samson," as if she's warning him, right? And he awoke out of his sleep and said, "I will go out as other times before and shake myself." And he was not that the Lord was departed. It says from him, but the Philistines took him and put out his eyes and brought him down to Gaza and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Okay, so he's able to give it. But look what happened to him. They brought him down there. They took him into custody, poked his eyes out. You know, this I want to go here. I want to go back because there were certain things that happened in Samson's life that led unto you know, it's kind of like foreshadowing what would take place. This is it's certain things about his character when he killed a lion and took the honey out of the carcass and didn't tell anybody, but also this. It says, this is when Samson, he took a wife, another woman, and it says prior to Delilah, it says it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, "Entice thy husband that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us to take that we have? Is it not so?" And notice what happened. She didn't say, "I never do that to my husband." She didn't say, "Well, you're going to have to kill me too. I'm not going out like that." And Samson's wife wept before him. She did the same thing. This is a different woman. People talk about Delilah. This is a different woman. "Thou dost but hate me and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth a riddle unto the children of my people and hast not told it me." So she started crying with tears. And that's the kryptonite for men. They see a woman crying. A woman could be dead wrong. Can be dead wrong. Wrong as 2 left shoes. Wrong, so wrong. She caught up. The baby not yours. Here go the paternity test. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? Why is he doing? Why you crying, trying to run a guilt trip over telling the man why he doing it, or asking him why he doing this? Because the baby ain't his. That's the kind of stuff. So the manipulation. But she said, and she wept before him the 7 days. She cried for 7 days while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her. So she pressed him. So he was a simp in that regard. He was a masculine man, a mighty warrior. But when it came to the woman's tears, that was his kryptonite. Not the steel sword of the Philistines. That was nothing. But the tears of these women. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. After he told her, she sold him out. Come and say, well, if she was threatened with death. So what? Men expected to die all the time. Men expected to die all the time. Look around. They started, just a side note, they're talking about instituting a draft in some of these countries. I mentioned that not that long ago. They're not necessarily talking about drafting women. You see what happened with Ukraine? All those men, old men too, young men, old men expected. I just saw some men some Ukrainian soldiers on a death march. The Russians had them on a death march with masks over their head, with shirt off. It was either open or off. I can't remember, but they bound walking in a mock, like they was going like a mock execution. That was a video that was leaked to, I believe, to the UN. You know, That's what happens in war. What did they do when it was time to fight? The men, y'all fight. Y'all expected to die. You know, he expected to die. What the women, hey, they out of the country. They got on trains, planes, and automobiles. They were out. I'll holler at you. They were like, I'm out, I'll holler at you. And then next thing you see, look on YouTube, you know what you see? You watching some news coming out of the war in Ukraine, you're gonna see what? Ukrainian women looking for husband. Yeah, you see, you know, that's I hate to quote him. I heard Boosie say something. One of his I mean, it was his wife technically, but his maybe mother of his child testified against him, and he said, they said, man, how did you feel? He said, I expect that women not built like that. When you find loyalty from a woman, when a woman is in the mud with you, you need to stay with that woman. When she really shown herself and proven herself to be about that. But some of these women, like what Samson is dealing with, had no business dealing with these women. They start crying crocodile tears. Next thing you know, you got your eyes poked out. And that's what's happening to men today. You choosing the wrong women for the wrong, because it's not like you can infer Samson is not choosing these women because they just great women. They got moral character. They serve the Lord. Clearly, he's a slave to appearance, which could be your downfall. Beauty is vain. Beauty is vain. So now let's go here. Let's go to 1 Kings. Because now that's you think about this man through the power and the spirit of the Lord. I would say he's one of the strongest men. Why? You able to kill 1,000 men by yourself? It didn't say he shot him. It didn't say he shot him down with a sniper rifle. Right? With a jawbone of his ass, he slew 1,000 men, heaps upon heaps. But now this is let's pick it up at 1 Kings. I'm in 1 Kings 29, because this is the wisest man to ever live. And notice what it says about him. It says, and God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding, exceeding much in largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. See, so when you think about the strength of a man, his strength was his intellect that the Lord gave him, his wisdom. It said, and Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Israelite, and Heman, and Kilcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahal, and his fame was in all nations round about. And he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. It says, and he spake of trees, from the cedar tree that is in the Lebanon even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts and of fowl and of creeping things and of fishes. So when you read about Solomon, you see he actually had like a zoo. And when you see when you read his writings, he didn't just have animals. Oh, that's a great animal. No, he studied the animals. He studied the animals, and there were certain principles that he took from the animals. Like for example, when he says, go to the ant, thou sluggard. So if you lazy, right, you should actually be studying the ant, because the ant nobody has to tell the ant to do what he needs to do. He just does it. And that's what you need to do. Stop being lazy, because the ant's going to have what he needs when the time comes. You won't, because you're lazy. All right. So now that's an example. It said there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon from all kings of the earth, which he had heard of his wisdom. That's what Queen of Sheba came, right? She said, I heard, but I didn't. She said it was beyond what I heard when she came, right? When the two prostitutes come, and they had a dispute over the child, one laid on her child and killed it, then took the other harlot's baby and claimed it was hers. They said, fine, give me the baby. I'm gonna split it in half. The real mama, she yearned for her child. She yearned for her child. Say, that's she the mama. Keep. Say, get that woman the baby. That's the baby. And they, that struck fear in the people, because you can't play those kind of games with Solomon. But what happened with Solomon? Let's go to Ecclesiastes real quick before I read what happened to Solomon. Ecclesiastes 1. Ecclesiastes 1, and we'll pick it up at verse 13. It says, and I gave my heart to seek and search out wisdom. Now, this is Solomon. So when I was talking earlier, he truly, when you talk about philosophy, a love of wisdom, he truly sought it out. He said, I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. He wanted to know it all. But then he said, this sore travail hath God given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. Because the more you know, the more despair can come. And then when he was faced with the notion of death, meaning that all you know, because he says, I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly, I perceive that this also is a vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. When he came, and then when he came into, that's why he talks so much about death, because once you understand death, you understand all is vanity. Because no matter what you build, you're going to leave it. I literally heard, and some of these people I'm quoting, it's like, man, but sometimes they have tidbits of information. Mike Epps said something. He said, I don't believe I'm quoting Mike Epps, but he said, you know, once I realized what money was, I stopped necessarily chasing it as much, because everything in this life you just renting, and you can take nothing with you. Well, the Bible tells you that. What did Job say? Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return hither. The Lord gave, and the Lord have taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. You going back the same way you came. You came with nothing. And everything you got, you gonna leave it to something. The Bible talk about that. Who know, you might leave, you might build an empire, leave it to a fool. Right? Because death is coming. Death is imminent. So now but that's Solomon. Let's go to 1 Kings. So Solomon's strength, it wasn't military, it was his intellect. It wasn't that he was so strong that he could slay 1,000 men, but he had wisdom. But he had something else that he had, and it was all these women. This is 1 Kings 11:1. It said, but King Solomon loved many strange women. And when it says strange, they're not talking about they're a bunch of weirdos. It's saying that they were foreign women, right? And that goes against, it says, and let me read it. It says, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Now, likely he was making political alliances with these women in these marriages. That's what monarchs would do. Oh, people on a certain level, they just don't marry anybody, right? Like, for example, this prince, is it Harry? I believe it's Harry, the redhead one, that they question the paternity, but nevertheless, he married a woman, Meghan Markle. Many say he shouldn't have married her. She was a divorcee, number one, but because of his status, you marry somebody that's on your particular level. That's how monarchs do it, or people of noble lineage. But it says other nations, this is the problem though. It said other nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. He said, he says, why? For surely they will turn away your heart after their God, Solomon, clave unto these in love. So now you read that in Deuteronomy chapter 7, where he's telling you not to deal with these nations, and not because he said they don't have enough melanin or anything like that. It's because they are not serving him. They're not serving the Lord. They serving false gods. Now he had a lot of wives. It said he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. See? So now the Lord gave you the wisdom. He appeared unto you twice, and now you got all these wives, and you let the wives turn away your heart. That's like Adam, man. It said the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. He brought you into your consciousness. He brought you to existence. He prepared the table for you in the Garden of Eden. He gave you the mitzvah or the commandment, don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. And then he said, it is not good that a man should be alone. I will make a help meet for him. And he brought the woman unto you from you, put you to sleep, took your regenerative rib, gave you the woman, and you said what? Isha, from woman. That's what a woman is. Ish, from Ish. which is the man. And what happened? Instead of continuing with what he gave you, you were worried about pleasing this woman. And we've been dying ever since. You brought total chaos and destruction. And the woman was deceived. And the Bible says, Paul tells Timothy, the man was not deceived. So you knew better. So now he allowed, after he was old, he allowed these women to turn away his heart. You get old, you get weak. That's what happened. It said, for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord and went not fully after the Lord as did David his father. Then did Solomon build a high place to Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And Molech, they sacrificed their kids to Molech. You're building edifices to Molech? You've totally fallen off. And likewise did for all his strange or foreign wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. Now, I want us to read something here. We're going to hold our finger here. We're going to go to Ecclesiastes real quick and see something that Solomon said. See, Solomon, you could take a lot from Solomon. This is Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. Ecclesiastes 7, and let's pick it up at verse 27. It says, behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found. You know, he would know something about this. He would know something about the 1 in 1,000. He would know from his encounter. You think he knows something about what he had 1,000 wives, which that could be a violation. It doesn't say directly. It could be a violation of Deuteronomy 17, when a king can multiply wives, should not multiply wives unto himself. That didn't mean he couldn't have more than one wife. We'll read a passage of that pertaining to that situation. But it could mean that you couldn't have a harem, which is what he had, a harem of this size. Okay. This is kind of like Genghis Khan, where so much of the population today in Asia is related to him because he has so many children, right? Hundreds and hundreds of concubines. But now he made all these, he had all these women and allowed them to turn away his heart, and they building these. This is basically idolatry. There's no way around that. And it says, and the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. See, with a man, I always tell men to teach men, you have to stand firm on what the Lord said. It don't matter what your wife said. She's saying something contrary. That's Job's wife said, dost thou still retain that integrity? Curse God and die. He said, you speak as a foolish woman speaketh. Right? Well, shall we see good from the Lord and not evil? And all this Job did not sin with his lips. That's how you have to be. Don't matter what she said. You have to worry about what the Lord said. And that's how you lead. That's the order. Father, son, man, woman, and child. And you lead your family in the way in which the Lord said, don't matter what she said. That's a protection, not just for you. That's a protection for her, your children, and those that come after you. And he said he had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes where I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee and will give it to thy servant. The kingdom was split because this man was dealing with these women. You see that? Give not thy strength unto women. Who are these women? You the one with all the wisdom. You the one that was the Lord bestowed all this wisdom on. You the one, you king. Why you capitulating to what they want? Why are you dealing with these women in the first place? Samson, you the one that could slay 1,000 men. You the mighty warrior. You the judge. You the deliverer for these people. Why are you dealing with these these women that don't mean you any good. Why are you giving your strength over to them? Adam, you were the man. She was a help. You make another one. I got some other real you can make. Why are you dealing with this? Why deal with her in that way? Why give that position over? I say that to men in general. Why have you given your position over to women? All men complaining about right now that's going on in society, they allowed it. Look at what the women doing. They're doing this, they're doing that. Okay, don't let them. It's just that simple. You're allowing it. You're allowing it. Men are doing that in their own homes. They're allowing it. Look how she talked to me. You allowed that. She cussing me out. She doing this. You allowing that disrespect. And it's gotten so bad now, no turning back. Let's pick it up at the book of Nehemiah, the 13th chapter. Let's pick it up here. This is Nehemiah 13. I'm going to pick it up at verse 26, because here the people were dealing with some foreign wives again. And the problem with a foreign wife, it's a foreign wife that's not serving the Lord, because Ruth was a Moabitess. But she said, your people will be my people, your God will be my God, right? So it's not about that. Even you want to go even further, you can look at the war brides. Those are when you fight. You could take a bride. A man could take a wife from another nation and bring her into his household, but she would be basically grafted in, if you will, into that household, into the people of Israel. This is what could happen in war. Okay, so now clearly it's not saying that. Well, the problem is when a woman is worshiping falsely. Woman worshiping Molech. That's like men today. They'll pick a woman. I talk to men all the time. They'll ask certain questions. Well, what should I do? She not doing it, and they not married. This is a woman. This is a prospective wife. And I say, well, why are you gonna deal with somebody that's first of all doing the things that you described, and then she not serving the Lord? Why you doing with her? Do they listen? Let me keep reading. Nehemiah the 13th chapter. That's why I said, why you ask? Why you ask? Nehemiah the 13th chapter. In verse 26, it says, because he talked about how he contended with the people not to marry these women. These women don't know the Lord. Why are you gonna marry them? They're gonna listen. You're gonna pull your house apart. You can't even build with that, because marriage is an intermingling with another person. Y'all going in completely opposite directions. It's one thing if a woman, you married to a woman and then you come into the truth, and as y'all later in life, and then she's okay to dwell with you. That's another thing. But why would you enter that when you had the knowledge of the truth? It said, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. Why are you giving your strength to these women? You see what the Lord gave him? There was no king like him. Why are you dealing with these broads? Get you a real queen. Everybody ain't just because, listen, this is going to sound bad. Just because you have a penis and she have a vagina don't mean you should be with her. Well, the parts fit together. No, that don't mean that. That doesn't mean that. You better have some integrity. You better have some integrity. You see, you could lose it all dealing with the wrong woman. Dealing with the wrong woman. And there's some pictures. It's I dealt with the virtuous woman. I said virtuous woman does not have a soft life. And of course, some woman got on there, this is dangerous rhetoric. How you saying that? And she misconstrued. She don't even know what a soft life is. She don't even know where it came from. She defined it as something that is not even saying. Look and see the originator of it, and you see what she's saying. And he said, you telling women they're going to have a hard life? First of all, life is hard, men and women. turmoil, hardness of life, struggle is inherent in the human condition. That's number one. Number two, you are made for a helpmeet for a man. Your literal definition of what a woman is, you from man. So second and third, the virtuous woman was, the point of that is she was selfless. It wasn't about, well, you're going to be stressed out. She, stressed or not, she was all about the benefit and service of others. A soft life is all about the benefit and service of your damn self. That's the difference. That's the difference. Let's go to 2 Samuel. Don't give it all up. Give your strength up to somebody he ain't even, like I tell men, you need to rock with who's rocking with you. And I mean, really, for your best benefit, not for somebody that's tolerating you, not somebody that's going to basically, you see they ain't about nothing, they're going to manipulate you and take everything from you. Get a clue. This is 2 Samuel chapter 1. It said, now this is David. So now David, this greatest king of Israel. But what happened with him? See, his whole thing, what was David's thing? David was wise. I mean, you look at the Psalms, clearly. He was a mighty warrior. He was like a combination of both. I mean, that's the one that killed Goliath. He was the epitome of what a king should be. He was valiant. He was brave. First of all, let's go back. Let's break down David. David, number one, was a first of all, a righteous individual. So how he sought after the Lord and served him was unparalleled. That's the first thing. In addition to that, he was a mighty leader of men. He was a man amongst men. You read about the people that he was with, the warriors that he had around him. He was a mighty warrior, a valiant soldier, you talk about somebody that can't lead unless they know how to be led. Man, he was in total submission to leadership when he was serving. So much to the point, you want me to be your leader, your troops? That's why they even had to say, Saul killed his thousands and David, it's tens of thousands. He had that. Then you look at his intellect and you read the Psalms and you understand the wisdom that he had. So he's like the epitome. You read certain Greek philosophy, like I read other things sometimes. You read like a philosopher king. That's how he was all of it. He was like the embodiment of a perfect leader. But when he went on that rooftop, this is 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel 11 and verse 1, it said, it came to pass after the year was expired at the time when kings go forth to battle. Now, he didn't go to battle. It said that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Reba. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass in the evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. Now he's on the roof of the king's house. Now let's break that down. When he took Jerusalem from the Jebusites, this garrison, he took all of it. So now when you look at the geography of the place that he was a military genius. He took that and then he builds his house. And so where he built, you could look over and see everything. You could see all of Jerusalem. You could see this. So he goes to the rooftop and he looks at what is he looking at? What he conquered and what he built through what the Lord gave him. Right? You as a man, you got to consider what you've been given and what you've built. You gonna give it all away for a prostitute, for a porn star? She understand crocodile tears. Prostitutes don't cry like that. I'm just keep it real. Prostitutes don't cry like that. You know you know what kind of hard life that is, and how dead inside you gotta be to give your body over like they give their body over in these professions. If you want to call it a profession, the oldest profession, them ain't real tears. Like I saw the woman, I like the woman wanted, man, he had so many women. If you ever look at the background of those women that accused Bill Cosby, he had no business dealing with them women. Drug addicts, con artists, literal prostitutes. You understand crime because you know you had to get paid. That ain't real. He did this, he did that. What you talking about? What are you talking about? You're a con artist. Give me a break. Give me a break. But nevertheless, it says, and it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof, he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. Okay, so he saw this beautiful woman. He said, oh my goodness. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? That should have been the end of it. Because it wasn't that he saw one. He said, well, let me find out about this. Had he said, I saw this woman, I happened to go out there, and he didn't go, that's another thing. You don't have to go looking for trouble. It could come, you just happen. Things, that's why you always have to be sober-minded. So now he goes on the rooftop. If he didn't say, oh yeah, she's a virgin, that's such and such his daughter. Okay, let me go talk to him and make arrangements. See if I can marry his daughter. There's nothing wrong with that. But once he found out this woman was married, because see, adultery is the violation of a covenant. When you actually, I'm gonna maybe do a lesson on that soon. When you actually break down what marriage actually is, and the seriousness of it, even the etymology of when they come together, what it means, you'll understand it's not to be violated. But it's nor to be taken lightly. Through all your trials and tribulations, you're supposed to stay together. I'm not saying in the case of adultery. And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her. For she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned into her house. Now, it didn't say, I understand the power dynamic is different, but understand it didn't say that he SA'd her. It didn't say that. It didn't say he forced her. It did not say that. He sent a message for her. He said, King won't talk to you. And it said she was going. Kind of like, you see these foolish, sometimes these men, I say, man, you gotta get a clue out here. I saw a video, man, he gonna get his wife's favorite entertainer for the wedding. Spent some cash. These are Africans. He spent some money. And she saw him. Now, this on his wedding, that she in her wedding gown. They at their reception. He come out there with the microphone, he's singing, and she crying. Now, she wasn't crying when she said, I do. She wasn't this excited when she said, I'm gonna marry you. But she grabbed this man, put her head in this man's crotch. As he stand there, got on her knees, she screamed, going crazy over this man. I'm like, man, you need another, man, can you know this thing? Why would you, So what my point is certain men that the woman don't care. Did she going? That's what average men don't realize that. Average men don't realize that. That's David. That's why even when you read McCall, she was jealous, when she saw the women before him. He was really rejoicing over what the Lord had done. But she looking at how the women looking at David. Because in addition to that, you read the description of David. Not only that, it said he was good, basically goodly to look upon. So David had it all. If you got it all, which is what the prophet's gonna tell him, why you take this man's wife? So it says, and the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. Not only that, she was pregnant. So now you're in a position, not like so many men in power, what you got to do? Oh, man, I got to pay off. Got to shoot her some money. I got to do something. Got to cover this up. This is scandal. So now you got some son you can't even recognize running around here looking just like you with his mama's last name. And the best kept secret, you the daddy. You the pappy. I'm the pappy, but you won't say that, right? This is, and David sent to Joab saying, send me Uriah the Hittite, and Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, now Uriah is at war. It said, and when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did and how the people did and how the war prospered. And David, because he was supposed to be there, but didn't. He tarried at Jerusalem. And David said to Uriah, go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. So the king sent him a bunch of food and told him to go down to his house. And he told him that so he can go out and sleep with his wife and cover up the paternity. So he got the woman pregnant. Now he's trying to cover it up, right? Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Right? You look at paternity tests anytime, not in every case, but when in the sense of every pregnancy, but when the paternity is questioned, when they have a paternity test, 30% turn out not to be the father who they thought it was. 30%. That's high. 30% that they know about. So that's rampant. But then you want to say, I want to get a paternity test. Somebody when they start crying, how could you do that? Their paternity tests need to be mandatory. How these people operating around here. But nevertheless, it said, and David said to Uriah, go down to thy house. Then it says, verse 9, but Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. Side note, you want to see some cases like that paternity? Ask some of these vets. These military vets, they go off for a year, they go to Afghanistan, they go wherever the Uncle Sam sent them, and they go and fight and come back. Wife, if she not pregnant, the money all gone, or she slept with Jody. That's where that come from. Jody, he didn't creep in. You've been gone on deployment a year and some change. And you ain't been with her, and now you got a baby. You better do the math. Do the math. Well, now I say it's mathematics. Something that doesn't add up. That's very common. I challenge you, talk to a vet. Somebody's been in the Marines, the military. Talk to them and see how prevalent infidelity is. That's why in the armed services, even adultery was illegal. But now this is so he sends him down, and Uriah said unto David, or verse 10, and when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down into his house, David said unto Uriah, camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down into thine house? And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into mine house to eat and drink, and to lie with my wife? That's the first thing you want to do when you come off a deployment. As thou livest and as thy soul liveth, I will not do this thing. He has so much integrity. He said, my comrades on the battlefield, I can't enjoy myself while they in the struggle of war. There's no good amenities. There's no nice meat in war. There's no bunch of women or wives to enjoy, rather, the company of in war. I'm not going to do that. So what did he do? He ended up putting him in the hottest battle, withdrew from him, had him. Basically, he murdered the man. Now to David, the prophet had to come. This is 2 Samuel, the 12th chapter, and he gave him an example of a man who had it all. It says, I'm going to pick it up in the middle of verse 1. It said, there were, 2 Samuel 12 and 1, there were two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat and drank of his own cup and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. He had one thing. He had that woman. Let's go back a little bit. It's kind of like men go in the joint. They get some time. They had to sit down for some time. They get some years. Them Vixen convicts tell you, hey man, that woman ain't gonna be there for you. That's very rare. That is very rare. You got 5 years, okay. Will she be there when you get out? Let's see. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, the man that have done this thing. Well, I'm gonna pick it up in verse 4. And it came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take his own flock and of his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come to him. So he took the man's land. That's all the man had. But you got many flocks and herds. Why didn't you take one of those to entertain? You took the one thing that man had. And it said, David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, the man that had done this thing shall surely die. And he shall restore the land fourfold because he did this thing. And because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. In other words, you the one, you the man. Thus said the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. So he's like, I gave it all to you. I gave it all to you. He said, and I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. He said, I gave it all to you, David. I gave your master's wives. I gave your master's house. I gave you the kingdom. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord? See, you always have to put the Lord first. To do evil in his sight. Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now notice what he says. What's the punishment? See, you could lose it all, and you have to ask yourself, was it worth it? Now I'm gonna tell you, no. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thy house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. So you always have war in your house. And this manifested even later with his sons. One son assaulting his sister, and then the other son killing the one that assaulted his sister, and then that son Absalom being on the run, right? Trying to take the kingdom from you. It's a coup d'etat, right? From your own household. It said, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house. That's Absalom. And I will take thy wives before thine eyes and give them unto thy neighbor. He laid with his 10 concubines in the sight of all Israel. All that shame that came after that, was it worth it? You gave your strength over. What was his strength? What all that the Lord had gave him, but ultimately his obedience unto the Lord. Because you read about David, only thing that he counted against him was this situation right here. Most people don't have that record. As bad as this is, most people got a bunch of things that they've done. That wasn't the case with David. So it said, thus said the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son. For thou didst secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. And that happens a lot of times. You want to deal with this woman in secret. You want to do something in secret. What you're doing is wrong. Hey, it'll come to light. It'll come to light. And you've given over your position. You've given all that you had up for this situation. You've given your strength unto women. And that should not be what you should do. So with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you, I want to say peace to everybody. And I want to remind you that we're at the House of the Faith meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We also live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel. In addition to that, we have our Virginia congregation meeting every Sabbath. That's Saturday at 12:30 Eastern Time at 153 Garrisonville Road in Stafford, Virginia. That's at the Red Roof Inn. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to say peace to everybody. And it is always my prayer that you were edified.